And there I was, thinking that Welcome back to Legacy of Kain, Defiance. We are back to Raziel.
There had to be a way to escape the spirit world without the help my master was pleased to deny me. Only in the material realm would I have a chance to seek my destiny, or change it.
Be that as it may, before we proceed to seek our destiny and change it, we will first go over here, which is not the progress, to see a cutscene, which we would not see otherwise.
An ancient gate, sealed by the powers of light and darkness, barred the way to the pillars beyond. To depart this place and continue my journey, I would have to find the means to open it.
My soul is not for the taking.
Wow. Well, I suppose now is as good a time as any to talk about the redesign of the Spectral Realm compared to the Soul Reaver games. And well, the sound design. The change is obvious. Instead of the distorted general music, you get this spooky, creepy ambience. And visual design is also a little different in that instead of everything being green and purple and warped, you have this blur, which is kind of cool to look at and to play when there aren't many things on the screen, but sometimes it will prevent you from being able to make out what is happening on the screen, and then it's gonna be a pain in the ass. Speaking of a pain in the ass, here are shades. It's something I never talked about because it never happened on camera, but fighting shades is a pain in the ass. They are completely non-threatening, but they really love to get stuck on level geometry. And sometimes it is as minor and insignificant as this. But oftentimes you will just have a shade stuck in a wall and be incapable of doing anything with it.
In this crypt, I discovered ethereal gases rising from the mouldering corpse within. As I neared, I felt a distinct spiritual pull, and the closer I approached, the more that pull intensified.
It's time.
In the end, it was not difficult. I projected myself down into that tomb and found myself reborn into the material world. It was a loathsome vessel, but with an effort of will, that too could change.
This is a stone. This stone makes no sense.
These gargoyles quickened as I drew near, triggering the door to close. I would need to find some means of approaching the door without being observed.
And the gargoyles are a replacement for the sentry eyes from Soul Reaver 2. And instead of frying Raziel on sight, they just lock a door, whatever door they are guarding. And yes, the correct way to approach them is by using the Dark Reaver. Oh, spoilers, yes, there's a Dark Reaver here. Oh, and welcome to the Material Realm. How could I forget?
She says she won't go near the place.
I tell you, the pillars are haunted.
Haunted?
I heard a woman's voice talking and moaning, and there was no one there.
How many vampires have you killed? And you can't face down one ghost?
I knew who these were. Vampire hunters, scouring the countryside, destroying what had once been my kind.
My God, what is that? A vampire or a demon?
Where?
Here.
Get him!
Quickly! No mercy!
Okay, so this is one of those instances when we are locked inside an arena with these demon fighters. I mean, vampire hunters. Demon fighters. And I think it's a good time to talk about combat for Raziel. It's a bit problematic compared to Kain's. There are 3 reasons. Reason 1 is the selection of enemies, which is just about anything. I love this animation. Just about anything can attack you on distance and knock you out of the air and is rather fast. Reason 2 is the crowd control, because Raziel's third attack is an overhead slash instead of a roundhouse slash or roundabout slash or whatever its name is. And yeah, so crowd control is difficult. And finally it's the dodging animation, because it takes a split second to commence because of the jumping in the beginning.
These were Mobius's hunters, mercenaries enlisted in his crusade to exterminate the vampires. His insignia was unmistakable. But this meant I'd been captive in the underworld for centuries. I had lost 500 years. Then I knew what ghost it was that haunted the pillars. Ariel, the spectre of the murdered Balan's guardian. Perhaps she could provide the answers I sought. But first I would have to find a way out of this cemetery.
So Raziel was stuck in a realm where the time... By the way, that talisman, that annoyed me as a kid because I thought I could get to it. Yeah, that one.
This temple's facade hinted at some ancient vampire origin, for it bore the sign of the Reaver and was marked with the elemental symbol of light. The mystery of the Reaver might be answered within, but this edifice was too high for me to reach.
I will continue after all the cutscenes are done.
Raziel, fallen hero, renegade and traitor.
What is this? How do you know me?
Raziel, what are you? Why should any know your name? You are nothing.
It seemed my method of entering the physical realm was not altogether original. But where had these beings come from?
So yeah, Raziel is not the only entity that is capable of possessing corpses and using them to, well, manifest himself in this realm. And why do they refer to Raziel as a vampire? And why are they referring to Raziel as a demon? And why on earth do they claim this world as theirs? Yeah, I'm a vampire, I get it. So, as I was saying before that horrible and rude interruption, Raziel was stuck in the spectral realm where time flows 1,000 times slower than in the material world for an equivalent of the material world 500 years, which is a few eternities, literally. And I am here complaining about how Blood Omen 2 is 12 hours instead of 5 that it should have been. Yep. And there I was thinking that And there I was thinking that I have tenacity and fortitude. Not compared to Raziel, I don't.
The Reaver did not seem to activate this orb. I had to find the means to enhance the blade further.
Spoiler, we will need the light enhancement for this. Yes, the Light Reaver comes back. Spoiler, alongside the Air and Fire Reaver. and 2 other Reavers, which I will not mention, and 3 other Reavers, which I will not mention. So, welcome to the swimming in Defiance, and it is even worse than it was in Soul Reaver games. While it is a bit more easy to control, Raziel is A, very slow, and B, you cannot see jack squat. At all. I've played through this countless times and I just don't know where to go because I cannot see this little opening. And here's why the block puzzles in Defiance are bad. Both times, yeah, every single time I was pressing the same key, which was back.
Ornamental shield.
You are welcome. Luckily, there is a lot less swimming in Defiance than there was in the Soul Reaver 2. Also, camera here sometimes goes haywire, but luckily, I was lucky. Language. Yeah, we are again locked in a room with all these poorly identified demonic entities that possess corpses. Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil anything, not yet. Well, technically it's not a spoiler, you're supposed to be able to figure it out, but I wanna see how many of those of you who do not know the entire storyline know what the will be able to figure out what these are. So, do you like the spectral / material realm puzzle platforming? Because it's back. There is actually one thing about combat for Raziel. I said back there that crowd control is problematic because of the animation of the last third slash. It's an overhead slash which only targets one enemy, really. Wait for it.
This edifice, marked with the elemental light symbol, was clearly much older than the ruins in the rest of the cemetery. The door was far too high to reach, and to open it, it seemed the Reaver would need to be imbued with the power of darkness. Clearly, I had more to accomplish before I could discover what lay within.
Okay, so I talked about crowd control, and there is actually a workaround to this annoying thing with... And this is what I get for trying to kill Slua. Yeah, don't fight Slua, it's a waste of time, as always. God, I lost my train of thought third time in a row. By the way, this getting hit by fire here is inevitable. It happens every single time you get out of the spectral realm here. So, there is a workaround, which is do not use the entire combo. Use the first 2 hits, because you see this second slash, it hits a wide area. So it makes the combat easier and does not leave Raziel open, or as open, to get hit with this. Yeah, like this. And that was quite satisfying. And this is bullshit. I mean, they didn't even bother making an animation for spawns. The reason is that you're not actually supposed to get into this part of this little area here, because normally the combat will always shift you to the left side of this little... whatever this place is. So everything will spawn out of your field of view. Outside of your field of view. Oh wow, more of these poorly identified demons. And they're actually pretty well identified.
Creature.
No, I'm not. You didn't even manage to will yourself into, well, looking like yourselves. Whatever you are. Perforate Carcass is borderline useless. Later we will see why.
Perforate Carcass.
So basically it's an attack that only targets one enemy and leaves you open. In a hack and slash game where you are attacked from all sides at once. Yeah. By the way, Raziel's telekinetic powers are weaker than Kain's. He cannot, well, pick things up with a force choke and drag them. He can only blast them. Which is, luckily, quite sufficient for now. Oh, by the way, these are soul basins. They make no sense. I mean, the blood basins in the Seraphin Stronghold make no sense either, but these make even less sense. I just had to say it. And that is what Perfect Carcass looks like. And unless you have previously done some crowd control with one of Reaver charged up powers, it's pretty much useless. Or alternatively, if you have a last man standing situation, in which case you have won the fight already anyway, regardless of what you do. That being said, it is rather satisfying. And welcome to the only door in the entire game that is opened with the Material Reaver. And yes, you can't open it with just any Reaver, you need specifically to use Material Reaver. By the way, no longer does Raziel have to be at full health to go into the Material Realm from the Spectral Realm, and B, Raziel will now be able to switch Reavers at will. So, no more fonts bullshit, no more fire. Well, yes, more fire, but no more fire as in precondition to switch Reavers. Okay, now, this is a puzzle. No, not this. This is the puzzle. Puzzle solved. And I actually managed to say that with a straight face.
As I stepped through it, I felt a sense of displacement, as some arcane sorcery transported me away. This was clearly some ancient ruin of a vampire civilization. Perhaps here I would finally decipher the riddle of my destiny.
No you won't. And thank you for joining me. I will see you next time. Goodbye.